Bienvenue à tous les Flammers, j'espère que vous allez bien. On est au retour sur un live nocturne ce soir. Et nous allons vivre le retour de Orion. Yo mon fraté. Nous allons vivre le retour d'Orion ce soir, mais avant ça on va se faire une session de gaming. Car le retour d'Orion, comme je peux vous le montrer là en attendant, n'est pas encore prêt pour amerrir. Il reste encore près de 7000 km à parcourir. Donc c'est pas encore prêt d'ici 1h30, 2h. Et c'est l'heure de faire un live. J'avais prévenu.
Tant de choses que vous, humains, ne pourriez pas croire. Quelle expérience de vivre dans la peur. Voilà ce que c'est que d'être un esclave.
Donc on se fera le retour d'Orion là.
Tous ces moments se
Bienvenue à
perdront
tous ceux qui arrivent sur le live.
dans l'oubli, comme les larmes dans la pluie.
Alors je ne sais pas si on va vraiment suivre le site de la NASA. Il se peut qu'on va sur YouTube aussi. Là, j'ai eu le site de la NASA pour faire la présentation, mais en attendant, on va se faire un peu de gaming et qui dit amerrissage, autant rester dans le thématique de la mer et se faire un peu de skull and bone. Et on prendra le temps de parler une petite heure ou une petite demi-heure avant de commencer.
Sur terre. Des centaines de pompiers ont beau être mobilisés, leurs tuyaux d'arrosage semblent dérisoires face à la catastrophe qui ne laisse pas grand chance à ce morceau.
Elles sont vraiment bien ces animations.
Ce que nous avons vu cette nuit, ensemble. Et que nous aurons toujours des épreuves à surmonter. Nous plutôt de ces dernières heures. Nous avons tant à reconstruire.
Ouais, sympa celle-ci. Hein.
Regarde, Gaulois, défends chèrement ta vie. Qu'est-ce que c'était ça?
C'est nouveau ici.
Oui, en fait, on vient d'être mis dans le coin.
Qu'est-ce que c'est que ce pays? C'est pas possible. Il fait au moins 8000.
Tu trouves que ça va bien celle-ci? Ah, les refs, elles s'en foutent.
Bonjour. C'est pas où
Elles
le
sont
village
dingues
du
les
Gaulois?
refs.
Alors, le mieux d'ici. Vous suivez les baffes, et normalement, ils sont au bout. Là. Je vous accompagne pas, m'en voulez pas.
Suivez les baffes. Yeah, j'avoue qu'elle est dingue celle-ci. J'aime bien celle du feu aussi. Ah attends, c'est pas... Ah, c'est parce qu'on a gagné la guerre des factions beaucoup trop vite. Alors, quelles sont les nouveautés? J'ai vu qu'il y avait des mises à jour récemment sur le jeu. Est-ce que vous allez tous suivre Artemis, à Orion avec moi? Ce serait cool. Ah là là, le beau gosse. J'ai mon perso, c'est un beau gosse. Regardez-moi ça. Il est frais. Mon bateau aussi, il est pas mal aussi. Alors... 10-2, on leur a mis en guerre de... En guerre de territoire. Du coup, il y a toujours des... Que je refasse des monstres marins. Là, c'est quoi comme mission principale? Ah oui, ouais, c'était chiant à faire. On va revenir à l'île principale.
Combien en avez-vous coulé aujourd'hui, Capitaine?
J'ai un travail pour vous, si vous vous... J'ai hâte de rendre compte de vos prouesses.
Une bête parmi nous?
Une grande confiance est synonyme de grandes attentes.
Ok. Ok. Ouah, ils sont beaux les canons. Eh ben, je vais m'en occuper. Je voulais voir le coffre aussi. Ah non, le coffre il y est plus. Dommage.
Nous allons sur les flots. En bas, en haut vont les bateaux, la planche et le tombeau.
Merci mon fraté, je vais voir ce que c'est. Pour Artemis. Enfin pour le...
Monstre en vue, capitaine! Droit devant!
Continuez, Capitaine! Tuez ce monstre!
Ouais, c'est peut-être celui-ci qu'on va suivre. Merci. Non, c'est peut-être celui-ci de live qu'on va suivre. Il reste quoi? Il reste encore 23 000 km. Normalement, ils amerrissent à 2 h du matin. On se fait encore une petite heure de squelette bonne. Merci en tout cas mon fraté. On va suivre ça. En plus j'ai le son dans les oreilles. Au pire quand je sais que ça arrive, je pourrais switch. Je vais me le garder dans les oreilles. Alors comment on joue déjà? Seul sur le caribou?
Repliez toute la voilure!
Faites sonner les canons! Transpercez-la!
Réduisez la toile au vent! Sur notre
Ouais, je vais soigner l'allié ici.
dirige droit sur nous! En train de recharger, capitaine!
Tout le monde! Feu!
Ouais, viens là mon grand. Fais-nous un sourire. Je vois pas pourquoi j'arrive pas à le soigner lui. Il est beau son petit bateau aussi. Alors là ils sont en train de vérifier plein de procédures pour l'amerrissage. J'ai pas trop compris l'événement là. L'amerrissage, ouais, c'est... Normalement, c'est à 2 heures. Hein. Là, ils sont déjà en train de faire les vérifications. Ils sont en train de checker tous les procédures. On essaiera de prendre le temps aussi de regarder les images qui nous ont ramené, enfin, qui a été envoyé, les images de la lune cachée.
Capitaine, navette en l'eau. Feu, Capitaine. Suivez la folie. Feu.
Ah, la lune cachée, ouais, c'est la face cachée, on a compris. Ah, on a le navire ennemi qui arrive. Ok, bizarre la procédure de d'abord couler une bête pour voir le boss arriver. Et il est dit. Ah merde, c'est un allié ça.
Qu'on a trouvé notre bête.
Préparez-vous à combattre.
C'est joli, ces trous. On voit à travers.
Notre maître sera heureux qu'on vous arrache la chair des os.
Pour l'amour de l'argent. Ils n'iront nulle part avec...
Ah, la peste aura votre peau.
Les requins vont faire fondance. Laissez le vent gonfler les voiles.
Allez, je bats le navire là, et encore on refait un petit switch sur les petites procédures qui sont en train de procéder.
Tout le monde au poste de combat. Ouvrez le feu.
Votre navire prend l'eau.
Ça va aller, capitaine.
Ah, je vois plus rien.
Cédez. Ils ont touché nos voiles, capitaine.
Apportez. Faites-les ouvrir. Préparez-vous à faire feu.
Les voiles sont comme neuves. Chamboulier, vite. Feu. Un moment, capitaine. On recharge.
Non, ça va, il prend ses petits dégâts. Hein.
Nous n'avons plus de voilure. Maudits pirates.
Pauvre fou. Vous n'avez aucune chance.
Ah, il a un bouclier là. Il prend le tarif. Hein.
On a déchiré ses voiles.
Vous finirez dans les 9 enfers.
Ah, moi aussi j'ai pris tarif.
Faites feu sur eux. Nous pouvons naviguer, capitaine. Réparation terminée. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait avec nos sont en cendres. Ils sont à la dérive. Ils sont... Ça remonté. Martin, vite. Feu, feu.
Votre tête fera un très joli trophée.
Pas encore prêts à tirer.
Je vois plus rien.
Cela va mal finir pour vous.
C'est le destin qui guidera ma lame.
Et notre proie assez stupide pour affronter la flotte de pestilence. L'ennemi est à portée de tir. On peut l'attaquer.
Allez, feu. Ils sont affaiblis, Captain. Plus qu'un petit effort.
Vous allez regretter ce jour.
Les traces des foules. Ouvrez le feu. En position.
Voilà, prenez votre tarif là. Arrêtez de me tirer des torpilles.
La peste aura votre peau! Faites feu sur eux! Vous ne pouvez rien contre nous! Ne les perdez pas de vue! On n'a presque rien senti! Allez, un bon tir, capitaine! En train de recharger, capitaine! Vous allez regretter de nous avoir défiés!
Allez, on a bientôt terminé, on va basculer sur...
Nous ne perdrons pas ce combat!
sur notre live principal à l'amerrissage.
Votre fin approche! Vous allez regretter ce jour! J'espère que vous avez le seum, bande de chiens! Tirez sur leur trajectoire! Là! Ne le laissons pas s'échapper! Non! On va vous écraser! Leur coque est pleine de fou! Notre navire a besoin de réparation! Des torpilles! Là! Tirez! Temps d'approcher! On vous tuera la prochaine fois!
Bah, parfait.
M'en débarras!
Allez, on va basculer. Allez. Oula. Je retourne à terre. Allez, on va basculer, nous, de l'autre côté.
Connecting umbilicals, we're going to be stepping into leak check soon. 1 and 2 will be seated, 3 and 4 will be free float, and we'll configure EPROC accordingly.
Houston, copies all. Reed Wiseman talking about the current procedures with the
Alors, on va
suiting
se mettre
of
en
the crew
plein
members
écran.
and subsequent leak checks, a final leak check for all 4 crew members. Everything is actually running a few minutes ahead of schedule. So once the life raft is inflated next to the Integrity spacecraft, and the recovery teams have arrived
Alors pour le moment, voilà, on les voit s'attacher dans leur capsule. Est-ce qu'on voit leur vitesse actuelle?
As it is called, one by one. They then will be hoisted into the hovering helos overhead, and those helos then will turn around once the 4 crew members are on board, 2 for each helicopter, and will head back to the ship. That should be about a 10 to 15-minute transit. Once the helicopters land on the deck of the USS John Murtha, the crew members will be exiting those helicopters and brought into medical bay on the deck on the ship itself.
Et cette vitesse va sûrement augmenter une fois qu'ils vont rentrer dans l'atmosphère. Ça va être l'une des descentes atmosphériques avec des humains à bord les plus rapides jamais enregistrés.
And ultimately will board a NASA jet for the flight back to the Johnson Space Center here in Houston. Just to recap some of the key times that are coming up. We are expecting
ça risque de secouer sur la rentrée.
Just 43 minutes from now. That is expected to occur at 6:33 p.m. Central Time, 7:33 p.m. Eastern Time. That will be followed just 4 minutes later by the crew module raise burn, the use of Integrity's thrusters one final time in a 19-second burn
ils sont à 20 000 km de la Terre là.
The vehicle up into the correct orientation or angle of attack to ensure that it enters the Earth's atmosphere at the right
ils arrivent d'ici une dizaine de minutes, un petit quart d'heure.
Build-up of heat against Integrity's heat shield. This was a deliberate move, a change in the procedures from the Artemis 1 mission that resulted in unexpected char loss on the aft-coat heat shield that had not been intended based on the entry trajectory for the Artemis 1 mission. What we're doing is we deliberately changed
on va attendre la rentrée atmosphérique et on va essayer de voir si on a des beaux clichés à regarder.
About a 3,000-mile transit across the Pacific Ocean. We are expecting now from entry interface to the point of splashdown to have a range of just 1,701
j'espère que la capsule va résister à la rentrée atmosphérique parce que ça va rentrer assez vite.
Time of heating on the heat shield of the spacecraft. Once the raise burn is complete,
ils vont être aux alentours des 30 000 km/h, je crois.
Means that Integrity will be entering the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet, traveling at about 34,882 feet per second, heading for its splashdown site off the coast of San Diego, as you just heard from Megan Cruz on the deck of the USS John Murtha. Splashdown once again under those 3 main parachutes is expected at 7:07 and 8 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset. The actual total distance traveled for Integrity from launch to splashdown is estimated at 694,481 statute miles. Now that includes the first high elliptical Earth orbit following launch that enabled Integrity to move to 43,000 miles above the Earth at its apogee,
and
enabling a 24-hour period of systems checkouts before the flight control team here and the mission management team gave that propelled it on its way to the moon.
Je sais pas si c'est le gars qui fait ou si c'est vraiment le
total
site.
distance we expect this vehicle to have traveled at splashdown
Sur la NASA, il reste 18 minutes pour la rentrée atmosphérique.
With everything proceeding on track and on time aboard Integrity, the vehicle system's in excellent shape as the Earth grows larger in the field of view. Let's go back to the USS John Murtha and Megan Cruz, who is standing by.
Subscribe is how 4 million people
nothing to speak of when it comes to having to recover our astronauts as well as no waves here really. So yeah, we're expecting a really great day. Also, hopefully some really great views. You can see behind me that some of the clouds are starting to break up, so that's really exciting. And now, of course, this ship has a lot of people ready and excited to welcome our crew back home, including Dr. Rick Schuring here. He is a NASA flight surgeon. Great to have you here, Rick.
Nos astronautes en bas.
It is a blessing to be out here this day with our teams. We've trained 3 years for this nonstop with the U.S. Navy and along with EGS, and we've so looked forward to this day. And you know, just by God's grace, everything's parting, the skies and everything. The crew's doing great. Looking forward to come back. And
ils avaient fait un beau voyage quand même.
One of those days you've dreamt about, and now it's finally here, and we're ready, and just thankful to be a part of it.
Ils ont commencé à faire un tour pour faire toutes les vérifications. Et après, ils sont venus par là. Ils ont fait le tour de ce sens-là de la Lune. Et là, ils vont revenir sur Terre. C'est un beau trajet qu'ils ont fait.
From the Canadian Space Agency spoke with them about 6.5 hours ago, just to double check on how they were doing, if there's any medical issues, you know, how they slept, and then kind of go over their landing day protocol for their medications, for what we call a fluid load, to try to replace some of the fluid and electrolytes that they've lost with just a normal space adaptation. Once they got to space, they kind of have to replace some of that fluid to help them with the whole landing kind of readaptation to 1G.
Je pense qu'ils doivent être un peu stressés quand même, les astronautes, de faire une rentrée atmosphérique aussi rapide.
They had a lot of cabin configuration, a lot of things to get ready, so they're excited, but also very focused on the job that they had to do. So, like again, we've trained a long time for this, and we're ready.
And you said some medications. I mean, those are kind of just to mitigate the effects of, obviously, their more than 695,000-mile journey back to Earth. It's just like anti-nausea medication, right?
Yeah, exactly, Megan. The you know, astronauts are very healthy, fortunately, and even when they come back in re-entry, you know, the human system is very kind of dynamic.
Ils font 1000 km toutes les minutes presque, un peu moins. Un peu moins d'une minute. La distance, elle est en train de fondre à vue d'œil.
This will be the first time we're landing in water since December 1972, and I worked with all the Apollo astronauts years ago, and they all told me that, you know, landing in the water, especially in the Pacific, can be very provocative. So we take steps to give them medicines to really mitigate some of that nausea, vomiting, help them feel a little bit better, and also sometimes just use a little anti-inflammatory medicine just to help with coming back to one Earth.
Ah, je crois qu'ils sont à 12 000 km/h. 12 000 miles. 12 000 miles, ça fait...
Is coming back to the ground, like, oh dang, 1G, but so that helps a little bit. But for the most part, the main thing is just replacing that fluid and then trying to help them with that transition back to 1G, and then we're ready to go.
Yeah, and their health is assessed almost immediately after they splash down.
Yeah, so we have Dr. Jesse Wang, and we have our independent duty corpsmen, who are the Navy version of paramedics.
Je sais pas si la petite vidéo de la NASA là, en interview, je sais pas s'ils ont les caméras et s'ils seront bien placés pour nous. On voit l'amerrissage aussi sous un autre plan. Ça serait bien cool qu'ils aient prévu ça.
Back in the med bay, let them know how they're doing, and then you know, if they've got the normal kind of space adaptation kind of things, we expect that they're good.
Ils ont volé pendant 10 jours les astronautes.
They're all prepared for that as well, and Jesse and his team, I mean, you know, this is their full-time job, taking care of, you know, sailors and folks.
Ça a dû être tellement long et rapide en même temps.
You know, going 25,000 miles an hour down to, you know, 20, you know, miles an hour is still a dynamic process. I've heard it described as, you know, kind of like a car crash, and then the crew will be ready to go, and Jesse and his team will make that transition to get them out to the front porch, do assessments on them again, call it to our med bay, and then once we have that and they're all good to go and the crew's feeling okay, we'll hoist them up in the helos, It's about a 3-minute flight back to the flight deck, and that's where me and the astronaut chief Scott Tingle will actually meet them. I'll get eyes on them, make sure they're all good, just take very slow transitions, and then one by one, we'll either get them out with the
Au final, ils seront arrivés plus tôt que prévu. Normalement, il y a 2 jours de ça, c'était prévu qu'ils arrivent à 2h du matin.
Or if they really don't have their sea legs back yet, then we might put them in what we call a stair chair, which will be right behind them.
Et au final, ils seront arrivés beaucoup plus tôt.
Get them back in the med bay to start our full assessments for the team.
Yeah, so a really great team.
Ils auront près de 45 minutes d'avance.
The mission, of course. You talked a little bit about this, but obviously, you know, we have seen astronauts return from the International Space Station for over 25 years, so we kind of know that that journey, how it affects the body.
Commence à avoir une vélocité un peu plus importante.
How is this different from your perspective?
So it's
l'attraction de la Terre commence à faire effet.
On Apollo, for exercise, they had something called the Apollo Exergenia, which was basically just a little canister with some ropes, and they would have some resistance and kind of do that. And the Apollo astronauts really like that. They like the ability to exercise, because you decondition from a musculoskeletal standpoint, you lose your strength and your stamina very quickly. We had something called the Orion flywheel, which was able to impart much greater loads in terms of resistance, so they're able to do squats, deadlifts, different things, not dissimilar to what the ISS astronauts do, but with a lot less room to do it. And they also did rowing activities for cardiovascular health, and the crews loved it. But for the lunar crews, the future lunar crews, maintaining that physical conditioning, which our astronaut strength conditioning rehabilitation specialists, affectionately known as the ACERs, back in Houston, really work hard to get them in the best shape they're going to have to be in to get to the moon. That device hopefully will maintain that. And Apollo only had about a 4.3-day journey to the moon. Our astronauts are going to have about a 10 to 14-day journey. Right. So maintaining that physical fitness, that strength and stamina is going to be crucial for the success of being able to do those very physically demanding lunar EVAs. Right. So we're very excited about what the astronauts have said about the device and what they have to say about the role exercise plays, you know, going to the moon. And also the mental benefit.
Sure.
They just really like sweating, breaking the sweat, and actually
ça doit être stressant en vrai d'être dans la capsule.
Thank you so much, Rick.
De dire que tu as réussi ta mission de A à Z et il te reste juste ce dernier ce dernier maillon pour accomplir toute la mission. Après avoir vécu une semaine dans l'espace, un peu plus d'une semaine.
The vehicle, with the Earth growing larger and larger in the field of view, we're now just about 8,200 nautical miles away from Earth and closing in for a splashdown just 1 hour and 5 minutes from now.
Integrity, just under a minute till your GPS maneuver initiates, and both GPS units look eager to acquire.
Outstanding. Seats 3 and 4 are working on seat strap in now.
Houston copies.
Pour l'instant, ils sont à une allure stable.
Once again, as we start to close in on some of the major milestones, the first one coming up in just 31 minutes.
And Integrity, just confirming the LCG gas trap was able to be closed out.
Affirmative.
Copy.
Crew module, service module separation scheduled just 31 minutes from now. The key point of interest, of course, will be the performance of Integrity's heat shield during its high-speed entry back into Earth and the peak heating that is expected around the spacecraft of some 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit.
Ils sont en train de replacer la direction de la capsule.
In which we performed an initial dip into the atmosphere to bleed off some energy. Then we skipped out of the atmosphere and dipped back into the atmosphere before splashing down in the Pacific. But after the mission was over with, we noticed unexpected liberation of some of the charring effects on the heat shield known as AVCOAT. Before the flight, we had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to get a perspective on what this all means and how the mission was redesigned to try to protect Integrity's heat shield to a higher extent.
Pour amerrir, je pense.
Returning from the moon is a lot different than deorbiting from low Earth orbit. When we return from the moon, we expect to achieve velocities upwards of 36,000 feet per second. And in order to slow down to a nice, graceful splashdown in the Pacific Ocean, the flight crew is going to experience between 3 and 4 times the force of Earth's gravity.
Il n'y aura que 2 parachutes.
Pressure buildup inside the char layer of the heat shield resulted in the char losses we saw. NASA established a Tiger team whose job was to investigate the cause of the problem and then make recommendations on how to fly the Artemis II mission safely and successfully. And so for Artemis II, we are going to fly a profile that ensures the spacecraft will not see
Ils auront fait un trajet un peu plus direct sur le retour que après pour l'aller, il fallait mettre en place aussi tout ce qu'il fallait pour être sur la bonne orbite, faire tous les tests. Peut-être pour ça qu'ils ont fait 2 tours de Terre avant de partir directement sur la Lune. Je pense qu'il fallait engranger de la vitesse aussi. Mais le retour aura été assez direct au final.
30 seconds p.m. Central Time should do the trick in minimizing the deleterious forces against that heat shield that were noticed on the Artemis I mission.
We think we see a beautiful sunrise over the west coast of Australia.
Retour dans les bureaux.
We copy.
Commander Reed
Wiseman, quand même pas mal de sièges vides. Hein.
Final hour in space on this mission.
Mais bon, je pense qu'il y a assez de personnes pour assurer le.
Passing over the southwest coast of Australia now, at an altitude of some 7,600 nautical miles. That will begin the southwest and northeasterly transit across the Pacific Ocean. Let's talk a little bit more about some of the highlights and some of the numbers associated with the points of interest here. We are 27 and a half minutes away from crew module, service module separation. That will be followed about 3.5 minutes later by the raise burn.
Ça aurait été un long voyage pour vous quand même.
A 19-second burn of Integrity's thrusters to
c'est pas tous les jours qu'on fait un voyage aussi grand.
As it enters the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface is scheduled 47.5 minutes from now. That's the point at which we will reach the top of the Earth's atmosphere, traveling about 34,882 feet per second at an altitude of 400,000 feet. Just 24 seconds after entry interface, we will begin a blackout period of 6 minutes in duration at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. Now, about 10 seconds after the blackout period begins,
sur la gauche, en bas des images, on a les étapes qui restent
which would be 24,661 miles an hour. That'll be about 103 miles an hour short of the velocity record set by the Apollo 10 astronauts, Tom Stafford, Gene Cernan, and John Young, when they returned from the moon on the Apollo 10 mission in 1969. That blackout period is expected to last 6
Il va avoir le
minutes
module de service, la séparation du module de service dans une demi-heure à peu près, dans 35 minutes.
Of about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees, while we're in a communications blackout from Integrity and its astronauts.
3 minutes après, il y aura la rentrée atmosphérique.
6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time, at which point we expect to regain communications with the crew. Capcom Jackie Mahaffey here in the flight control room will be talking to the crew, calling them, and will await a response from the crew as they come out of that blackout period. And at that point, their altitude will be just 157,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 13,000 feet per second with a range to splashdown of just 147 nautical miles.
Est-ce que la NASA a publié un peu des...
The next key series of events will be the deployment of a series of parachutes that we discussed before. First, the forward bay cover chute deploy that will pull the forward bay cover away from the top of Integrity, followed by drogue chute deploy and then the main chute deploy that's expected at 7:04 and 44 seconds p.m. Central Time. That will begin the gentle descent of Integrity towards its splashdown at at just a velocity of just 19 miles an hour. And that will begin the recovery operations that you just heard Megan Cruz discuss with her folks on the USS John Murtha. All of Integrity's systems in great shape. The crew is suited up. Leak checks complete as we stand by for the next major milestone, which will be the crew module service module separation, just 24.5 minutes from now.
On n'a pas les nouvelles images mise en service?
All of the activities from the start of entry interface to the point of splashdown will be quite rapid fire, just 13.5 minutes from the point at which we begin descent into the Earth's atmosphere till splashdown. And just to show you, as Rick Shearing, the flight surgeon, alluded to in his interview with Megan Cruz, all of this happens to decelerate the vehicle from traveling around Mach 33 to just 19 miles an hour at splashdown. All of that happening in just 13.5 minutes. But the vehicle and the parachutes are all designed to support all of that, so we'll be standing by to report all that to you in sequential fashion as these milestones are ticked off and as we hear from the crew during its entry back into the Earth's atmosphere, and ultimately when they emerge from the blackout period.
Elle n'est pas si grise que ça, nous on la voit grisâtre blanc, mais elle n'est pas si grise que ça au final. Hein. Vraiment un côté marron un peu.
So with all of those preparations ongoing, we can return here briefly for another report from the USS John P. Murtha and Megan Cruz. Megan? And we'll regain that communication with the USS John P. Murtha just momentarily. In the meantime, everything is on track aboard Integrity, the flight control team here in Houston, led by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling. The voice you will hear talking to the crew is that of Jackie Mahaffey. She will be reporting everything to the crew and receiving their reports as they enter the Earth's atmosphere.
Voilà, j'ai pas d'image de la Lune fournie par la NASA. Dommage.
Splashdown off the coast of San Diego. Now we have the ship back with us and Megan Cruz aboard the USS John P. Murtha. Megan?
11 balloon, right?
Ça serait intéressant d'avoir un télescope, de savoir si on pouvait les voir.
Hey Rob, yeah, the excitement is really building here.
Je pense que de notre côté de l'hémisphère, là, on pourrait peut-être pas les voir, mais du côté, je sais pas moi, du Canada ou quoi, ça aurait été intéressant d'avoir un télescope. Ils essayaient de les voir à travers le télescope.
Again, it's a team out of NASA that basically makes sure that the debris that comes off of Orion against some of those pieces of the parachute system, make sure that they don't fall on us here in the sea, and also our aerial assets, our folks in helicopters. So watching that float away right now. But with me right now is Captain Eric Kenny. He's the commanding officer of the John P. Murtha
Ils ont fait 500 000 kilomètres en 10 jours quand même.
That's absolutely right, yeah. But first of all, on behalf of
pas tous les jours qu'on fait de longue distance de ce type, 500 000 kilomètres en 10 jours.
Yeah, absolutely. Why don't we actually take a look at the flight deck here? We'll start there. Basically, we also, while watching this weather balloon float away, we noticed all 4 helicopters leave the flight deck. We now have an empty flight deck. We had 2 imagery helos as well as the 2 crew helicopters that will go recover the crew. This is just one of the many things that, again, our ship of 550
ils ont pris un peu plus de vitesse encore.
Commanding officer.
Yeah, absolutely. Every commanding officer, I would say really every naval service member, our priority is always safety. And as the commanding officer, I take that as one of my primary roles here on board. Mission accomplishment is important, safety always. So my day really has, I would say my message to the crew has sort of changed over the past 24 hours. As we're leading up to
Ils sont potentiellement à l'endroit de l'amérissage sur les vidéos là, on est en train de voir sur l'interview. Donc on aura sûrement l'amérissage filmé en direct Ça va être bien ça.
What we've done to get to this point, and if we do that, we'll be successful today.
Ça va faire des belles images.
And also part of the big success is obviously the coordination between NASA and the U.S. military. How does it feel being able to support the human space program we have?
Yeah, I mean, since 1959 with Mercury, Gemini, Apollo, the history between NASA and the Navy has been in lockstep. But like any other skill, if you don't practice it regularly, that skill atrophies. So we've had a few decades off from that. But, over the past 4 or 5 years, really with this ship over the past year, we've constantly trained and working for this moment right here. Building up the hype, but to get to this point today, to be able to trust all the training we've done. We've worked with, working with NASA, the Air Force, the medical team, dive team. You want to talk about high-performance organizations coming together, working in unison? We are seeing that.
Le crâne bien lisse, ce monsieur. Il y a le reflet du soleil dessus.
Yeah, you had some great words this morning saying just that. Again, that it's really nice to see everybody working together and so excited. I mean, you just became the commanding officer of this ship back in February. How does it personally feel for you to be a part of this historic moment today?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I'd say any opportunity to command any warship in the United States Navy is a tremendous honor, is a pinnacle of any naval officer's career. That being said, as my change of command was approaching, and I realized that Artemis was going to be in the window here, to say that I'm humbled and honored to be here is an understatement. What really just excites me is the opportunity to see this crew, who has been training so hard over the past year plus, come together.
Ils sont bien courageux, ces astronautes.
What inspires me, listening to NASA and the ownership and pride they take. They make my crew better. I think we're making NASA better together. That synergy is something that I'm happy to see and hopefully take forward with me in my career.
Yeah, it's all about partnerships. You couldn't do it without you, and we couldn't have gotten to the moon without our international partners as well. So thank you so much, Captain. It was really great to have you here.
La télémétrie est bien réalisée.
All right, Rob, back to you.
On a les images en direct comme il faut.
Thank you, Megan. Back here in Mission Control in Houston. We just had a quick view of the crew. We'll get that view back, and there they are again. Here in Mission Control, the entry team of flight controllers led by Rick Henfling and Jackie Mahaffey serving as the spacecraft communicator. We have just handed over communications links from the Deep Space Network that we communicated with the crew through from the time of the translunar injection burn back on April 2nd. We've just handed back to the Tracking and Data Relay satellite system as we prepare for the crew module service module separation that will take place just 17 minutes from now.
Ils sont en train de terminer le freinage pour l'entrée de l'atmosphère et il va avoir la séparation du module.
One other quick note about the comparison from the Artemis 1 entry profile to the Artemis 2 entry profile and how that is serving as a extra layer of protection for Integrity's heat shield.
Ils sont en train de prendre encore un peu de vitesse malgré tout
The Artemis 1 entry had an entry range of some 3,178 nautical miles, a very long downtrack and a very longer period of exposure
après,
to
au bout d'un moment, la
heat
vitesse va
loads
exploser, elle va monter en flèche.
It also had that skip entry profile that we discussed earlier, dipping into the Earth's atmosphere, then back out, then back in. It was about 20 minutes of exposure.
Ils vont être secoués comme dans une boîte,
Jackie, we have it loud and clear on
boîte de conserve. Ah, on commence à les voir.
We have you the same.
And there's one of the weather balloons being deployed from the USS John P. Murtha.
Eh ben, ils sont bien placés les gars de la NASA.
So the Artemis 1 entry
cool.
had the vehicle.
Any update on GPS? We haven't seen a track in yet.
Ils ont une transmission radio quasi en direct maintenant.
Reed, we are watching. We are starting to get into the window where they may start acquiring, so should be within the next 10 minutes.
Okay, sounds good. We're holding at step 17 and getting ready for CMRCS hot fire.
And that exchange indicating that we are expecting to acquire data from the GPS system on board. That'll be a navigational tool that will basically tell Integrity's computers that they're on track down the center line of the corridor for the entry interface that will lead them to their splashdown point. Once again, the Artemis 1 entry exposed the heat shield for about 20 minutes of peak heating. For Artemis 2, we're going to reach a downtrack distance of 1,701 nautical miles from the point of entry interface with just 14 minutes of duration. And it's basically a different angle of attack, a little bit steeper angle of attack that will protect the heat shield from excessive heat loads. So that is the difference between Artemis 1 and Artemis 2, all designed into this mission to gather data, to protect the heat shield, since the Artemis 3 mission and beyond will have a different designed heat shield that will allow that skip entry type of profile to be resumed for all of the future missions coming back from the south pole of the moon when we initiate lunar landing.
Déjà un peu plus de monde là derrière les écrans.
So we've handed over to the
Alors la
tracking
salle
and data
paraissait
relay
vide.
satellite system. That's where we'll have communications for the rest of the flight. Just to give you some time hacks here, we're 13.5 minutes away from crew module, service module separation, and just 17 minutes away from the raise burn, that 19-second firing of the thrusters that will basically be the final fine-tuning of the angle of
Elle est belle la
attack
petite maquette d'Artemis là, là en premier plan sur le bureau. Ils viennent de faire 10 000 km en 20 minutes, même pas. Ça va quand même vite arriver. Hein. Ah, mais il y a un hélicoptère aussi de...
A dueling box view of some of the assets
ouais, il y a un hélicoptère
that
aussi
are involved in recovery operations today.
Est placé. On va essayer de choper les bonnes images au bon moment.
Houston copies.
That confirmation from Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, as you see the assets being deployed to the splashdown zone. At the time of splashdown, we expect the John P. Murtha to be about 5 miles away from Integrity, keeping a safe distance until we are sure that the vehicle is in the water and upright, and that it is in a good configuration system-wide for the recovery teams to begin to approach the vehicle to erect that inflatable raft.
2 minutes to CM RCS warm-up hot fire.
We're ready.
That call from spacecraft communicator Jackie Mahaffey indicating that we're 2 minutes away
Et ils ont
from a
tellement d'écrans devant leur gueule.
the reaction control system.
Le setup qu'ils ont.
That will be a hot fire test prior to the separation of the crew module from the service module.
Alors, ce que vous voyez derrière les petites hélices là, ça va être ça qui va être séparé de la capsule. Le module de service qui est derrière le bout pointu, c'est ça qui va être séparé. On va laisser ça en état. Ça va sûrement finir par retomber sur Terre à un moment donné.
For not only propelling the Integrity and its astronauts toward the moon, but also conducting the fine-tuning of its trajectory to bring it to this point where we are dead spot on down the middle of the corridor trajectory-wise to bring Integrity down for its splashdown in the Pacific just 44 minutes from now.
Ils ont pris encore de la vitesse. Hein.
What you're looking at is a computer-generated visualization based on real-time telemetry from Integrity. Currently traveling about 16,000 miles an hour.
On a l'hélicoptère qui était en train de filmer tout à l'heure qui commence à atterrir.
Integrity traveling about 16,000 miles an hour.
For the prop cautions, we're taking a look.
Copy that.
Now just about 5,100 miles from Earth. Splashdown scheduled 43 minutes from now. We're just 9.5 minutes away from the crew module service module separation.
C'est quand même une belle expérience de vivre ça en direct.
We are confirming.
J'aime bien faire aussi les décollages SpaceX. D'ailleurs, il y en aura un d'ici les prochains mois à vivre aussi en live ensemble.
I was just about to say that we had a good hot fire test of the thrusters in advance of the crew module service module separation that's coming up just 8.5 minutes from now. This will begin the period in which we will have rapid-fire succession of critical activities on board that will lead to entry interface just 28 minutes from now, where the vehicle will enter the Earth's atmosphere at an altitude of 400,000 feet. The time of entry interface, 6:53 and 30 seconds p.m.
Ça sera encore des
Central Time.
tests sur le Starship. Le Starship qui est potentiellement le vaisseau qui emmènera des terriens sur la Lune. Il est encore en phase d'exploitation. Mais ça sera sûrement cette fusée-là qui amènera les terriens sur la Lune.
We're now inside 41 minutes until splashdown.
Integrity Houston, we have confirmed a good CMRCS hot fire, and although we are not seeing GPS acquired yet, you can skip the troubleshooting steps in 157 for now.
On est en direct là de la capsule d'Orion et des bureaux de Houston, et on va vivre tous ensemble la rentrée atmosphérique et l'amerrissage de la capsule Orion. Et on est à quelques minutes de la séparation avec le module de service. Donc installez-vous, si vous avez des questions, n'hésitez pas à les poser, on peut discuter ensemble. Alors les petites hélices que vous voyez là derrière la capsule triangulaire, c'est ça qui va être séparé, qui va être laissé dans l'espace. Seule la capsule triangulaire va traverser l'atmosphère pour amérir. Traîné par des parachutes, bien sûr. Mais il reste encore le plus gros défi de la mission, c'est de traverser l'atmosphère justement. Ils vont vivre une rentrée assez brutale dans l'atmosphère à près de 40 000 km/h. Donc ça va secouer fort pendant la rentrée.
GPS data is basically
Et ce sera le moment le plus critique de la mission d'ailleurs. Entre le décollage et l'amérissage, c'est les deux situations les plus critiques.
We have now armed the pyros for the crew module service module separation coming up less than 5 minutes from now.
Et on va aussi avoir une perte de contact avec eux durant 6 minutes. Pendant le moment où ils sont justement en train de foncer à près de 40 000 km/h. À partir de ce moment-là, on aura plus de visuel. À moins que les relais de la NASA qui sont à l'extérieur sur leur petit bateau là prendront le relais visuel.
Houston, we see the same on board and copy, go for CM raise.
That CM raise referred to as the slight firing of 19 seconds.
Attends, ça fait plaisir de vivre ça en direct.
Change in velocity of 9.9 feet per second, a slight nudge of the aft end of the vehicle so that it's tilted a bit upward, providing the final angle of attack.
Je pense que les astronautes après ils verront plus la Lune comme la plupart des terriens après ça. Surtout ceux qui sont dans la capsule là, ils verront ça d'une autre manière, je pense. À chaque pleine lune, tout ça, ils pourront dépenser que seuls eux pourront avoir. Quoi. Ça peut être assez spécial.
We are currently 3,300 nautical miles left in this mission. Splashdown scheduled 36 minutes, 39 seconds from now.
Integrity Houston, for the 2 enabled prop cautions, what happened is while the thrusters were firing, multiple pressure sensors on each of the strings diverged a bit from each other. Those limits look to be set pretty tight. We think it could happen again when the thrusters fire in the future, so we are going to suppress those messages.
Ça va s'accélérer. Petit à petit, ça va s'accélérer.
Suppress, not inhibit. Thank you.
That exchange between Jackie Mahaffey, our Capcom for tonight, and Reed Wiseman aboard Integrity, indicating basically to ignore sensor data. All of Integrity's systems are in good shape.
Est-ce qu'on va voir la séparation? Ça serait bien de voir la séparation aussi avec le module de service.
Now, coming up on about 90 seconds till the crew module, service module separation.
J'avais pas la caméra depuis tout à l'heure. Je suis bien là. Vous devez entendre ma voix sans avoir le visage. Je suis là. On peut voir sur les images que ça défile assez vite. Prennent de la vitesse là. Ils arrivent à 18 000 miles. Alors, je pense qu'on aura les images de la séparation avec cette caméra là. On pourra vivre la chose en direct.
And we have confirmation of crew module, service module separation. And a great view, albeit momentarily.
Séparation réussie.
Houston, good step on board.
Houston copies and concurs.
The European service module now separated from Integrity, a job well done.
Integrity, no action for the 4 CDH cautions. Those are SM related, not applicable.
Et voilà, le module de service restera où il est. Et puis il finira par redescendre sur Terre à un moment donné.
Ladies and gentlemen, TJ here. I will do my best not to speak over the mission comms or the commentary from NASA. It's a bit of a split audience.
With Integrity now flying free on its own for the remaining 32 minutes of this mission. Next up, the raise burn, a 19-second firing of Integrity's thrusters.
GPS 2.
It's a bit of a split audience about me coming on.
Ils ont pris
so I'll keep my commentary to a minimum until splashdown.
Ils ont pris plus de 1000 miles depuis la séparation.
Of Integrity.
Ça les a un peu propulsés.
To put it in the right angle, if you will, the angle of attack that it will fly in during its entrance into the Earth's atmosphere. Entry interface now just 18 minutes, 25 seconds away. This is a visualization, but driven by real-time telemetry. This is the maneuvering of Integrity to the raise burn orientation.
La capsule soit dans l'eau.
800 miles from Earth.
Should be obvious here, but the service module is obviously not attached anymore.
Houston, we got a great view of the European service module out the window with the sun hitting the side and the solar rays and the NASA worm right there. It's a beautiful looking machine.
Il y a tout le monde qui est opérationnel dans les bureaux de Houston.
Roger.
Kudos everybody at NASA. This has been an absolutely gorgeous mission.
And we have completed the maneuver to the raise burn orientation. 1 minute away from the raise
burn. Ce serait bien d'avoir une image de la Terre qui serait en train de filmer Orion aussi.
So Orion will actually fire its forward thrusters to do this burn. This will put them on that skip trajectory, which is designed to slow them down even further before they enter the thicker part of the Earth's atmosphere.
Alors, je crois que leur hélicoptère est prêt à décoller pour essayer de choper une image.
If you have any questions, please leave them in chat, and I will try to answer them in between mission comms. Somebody asked, will the chute deploy as soon as they enter the atmosphere? The drogue chutes will deploy once they're at roughly terminal velocity to stabilize the vehicle, or right before. And then the forward
Ils ont
fairing
encore pris
on top of Orion will detach, the drogue will pull it away for the main chutes.
Et là ils arrivent en train de foncer sur Terre.
Once the main chutes deploy, they'll be...
And the crew module raise burn is underway. A 19-second firing of the thrusters.
Et je crois qu'il y a des images de la Terre qui est en train de filmer la capsule.
I'm currently working on updating the milestones right now. They are about 10 minutes ahead of schedule
entre les deux
from their
écrans,
schedule yesterday. But if
Integrity, good. CM raise burn. Your flight path angle is within limits.
Integrity copies. Looks good on board, Jackie.
So the final maneuver is now complete. Our trajectory for a splashdown in the Pacific 29 minutes from now is set and will not be amended any further. And we have the right angle of attack to mitigate any excessive heat loads on the vehicle during entry interface.
Ils sont rentrés d'atmosphère là.
Coverage. When you perform the 180 roll, for the first minute or so in that attitude, we expect about a minute LOS.
We copy.
Voilà, de bien se passer pour le moment.
So for those who are watching, The series of events coming up, we will enter the first traces of Earth's atmosphere. 14
Ils sont en train de dévorer les derniers kilomètres.
6:53 and 30 seconds
500 000 kilomètres en 10 jours.
Traveling at approximately 34,800 feet per second, range to touchdown or splashdown 1,701 nautical miles. 24 seconds after entry interface, we will enter a 6-minute blackout period in which we
si vous regardez sur sur leurs écrans tout en haut là, on peut voir l'image d'Orion dans le ciel.
If you will, of the velocity of the spacecraft with the friction of the Earth's atmosphere. That 6-minute blackout is expected to begin at 6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time. During that period of time, we will reach our peak speed of 24,661 miles per hour.
Ils arrivent à 20 000.
Based on unofficial data from the flight dynamics officer right now, will come just short of the velocity record set by Apollo 10 of 24,791 miles per hour in 1969. We expect peak heating on the vehicle at 6:54 and 52 seconds p.m. Central Time, a minute and 22 seconds into entry interface.
Ils arrivent à leur pic maximum de km/h, ils arrivent à près de 40 000 km/h.
204,000 feet above the Earth, traveling at 33,000 feet per second. The blackout period is expected to last 6 minutes. We expect that blackout period to end at 6:59 and 55 seconds p.m. Central Time.
Et c'est dommage qu'on n'a pas les images en direct aussi de la capsule.
Splashdown, it is just 7 minutes, at which point we'll start deploying the series of parachutes to slow integrity down to an ultimate splashdown velocity of just 19 miles an hour.
We see the same, waiting for the 180 rolls.
The parachute deployment sequence
ça a l'air de bien secouer là dans la capsule à près de 40 000 km/h.
A great view of the moon out window too. Looks a little smaller than yesterday.
Guess we'll have to go back.
Reed Wiseman and Jackie Mahaffey exchanging discussion on a view of the moon that Integrity's astronauts are seeing in the final minutes of this mission that will be completed with splashdown just 25 minutes from now.
On a des relevés de vélocité
will be used to pull the forward bay cover off the
et que c'est
top of the
positif.
vehicle. Then 2 drogue parachutes will be deployed to slow and stabilize the crew module during its
Quand on a de la
descent.
télémétrie, c'est que ça reste positif, tout se passe bien.
Parachutes that will lift and deploy the main parachutes from the forward bay. The final sequence will have 3 main parachutes deployed. These will be 116 feet in diameter. Each main parachute approximately 265 feet long when reefed. The parachutes will ultimately slow Integrity down from its peak speed of almost 33 times the speed of sound to a gentle 19 miles an hour.
Télémétrie des miles là qui s'enflamme.
The vehicle is now currently in a roll to the proper attitude for entry interface. Our trajectory is right on according to flight dynamics.
Je crois qu'ils ont ouvert les parachutes. Ils ont ouvert les parachutes.
Integrity is on a trajectory from southwest and northeast across the Pacific Ocean, descending at a rate of 15,000 feet per second.
Alors, Je sais pas à quelle télémétrie me fier.
Timelines are fixed. These times are estimates at this point.
Range to touchdown 4,300 nautical miles. All the
je sais pas quelle
systems in
télémétrie me
excellent
fier
shape.
de la vélocité. Il y en a une à 9000 et il y en a une autre à 21000.
Orion is currently screaming back to Earth at 9,700 meters per second. I don't know how many soccer fields that is, but that's a lot.
Alors l'image en direct, je sais pas d'où elle provient.
Integrity, Orion in the EI roll 180 attitude.
Looks good on board, Jackie.
This view out of one of Integrity's windows. We had a call for 3 good barrows. Those are barometric pressure sensors that feed altitude and rate of descent information to Integrity's computers that will trigger the parachute deployment sequence.
Est-ce qu'on est à la vue de la capsule
là? We are less than 9
là?
minutes away from entry interface, 22 minutes from splashdown.
If you were looking at a world map, Orion is currently located southwest of Hawaii, screaming in a northeast trajectory towards San Diego. Weather is looking good.
Ah oui, la télémétrie, voilà, elle est revue. Ils sont encore à 22 000 miles.
Out in the Pacific, the weather conditions remain go. Just a few clouds, some scattered clouds. Winds at 10 knots. Wave heights just about 4 feet.
Map is largely useless.
A gentle day in the Pacific for the homecoming of Integrity's astronauts.
Canberra is still trying to track Orion, even though it's going very fast. I'm surprised they're not on the TDRS network at the moment. It is lower bandwidth, but there's still about 1,000 miles.
Integrity back in EI attitude.
Above the Earth's surface. Thank you so much, everybody, for the super chats. It really does mean a lot. This has been a...
Houston, purge is complete. Crew and vehicle are configured for entry.
Ouais, là, on est directement dans la capsule. On peut voir dans le reflet.
And we're in step 37, transferring that.
Dans le reflet en haut, on voit qu'on est dans la capsule et on a les transmissions en direct avec la NASA.
And Houston, in instruction 509, we are not below
Alors, ils ont le soleil face à eux.
Integrity, no action required.
Integrity.
Et pour le moment, ça a l'air de très bien se passer.
Now 6 minutes away from
on n'a plus de vue télémétrique, mais c'est qu'on arrive au point maximum de la vitesse.
Splashdown at that point will be 1,701 nautical miles. And once again, just a reminder, some 24 seconds after entry interface, we do expect to lose communications with the vehicle and the crew during a 6-minute blackout period when a plasma shield will build up around the spacecraft due to the ionization,
due to heating effects.
And Flight Dynamics has just confirmed we will have a blackout period of exactly 6 minutes in duration.
S'il nous laisse sur cette caméra, on risque de voir le plasma devant la capsule.
So we will not be able to talk to the crew members at that time, nor will we receive data here in the flight control room.
Houston, everything is looking good on board. Just confirm no pre-EI downloads.
Houston concurs.
Ok, ils sont en train de descendre très rapidement. Là, on peut voir.
6:53 and 54 seconds p.m. Central Time, and again will last about 6 minutes in duration. We're 4 minutes away from entry interface.
Elle est tellement grande la planète en vrai. Sont en train de tomber, mais d'une vitesse. C'est belles images, ça. Hein.
This view from Integrity, as it crosses from southwest to northeast across the Pacific Ocean, 3 minutes from entry interface. $16.5 minutes till splashdown.
Pour le moment, tout est optimal.
The USS John P. Murtha and the recovery team is
le dernier quart d'heure.
In position, as are the airborne imagery assets that we hope to receive.
Dans un quart d'heure, ils sont sur Terre.
As Artemis enters the Earth's atmosphere and through parachute deployment. All of Integrity's systems are in great shape. The crew is ready to complete its mission just 15.5 minutes from now. All of the activities today have gone off in perfect fashion. No issues with the vehicle, no issues with the crew. And the weather at the splashdown site is go. Coming up on 1 minute until entry interface.
Ouais, ils descendent à une vitesse. C'est dingue.
Mark 1 minute until entry interface. 1 minute, 20 seconds until the expected start of our 6-minute blackout.
Integrity, 1 minute to a 6-minute blackout.
Ouais, il va y avoir 6 minutes, comme je vous disais tout à l'heure, 6 minutes où on n'aura plus d'image. Ça va être les 6 minutes où ils vont être à une vitesse astronomique. De toute façon, on les voit là, déjà la vitesse... Ça va hyper vite.
Ten seconds till entry interface. And we have crossed the threshold now. Entering the Earth's atmosphere. We're at 400,000 feet, traveling 34,800 feet per second.
Allez, rentrez à... Oh, on voit les plasmas un peu sur le côté.
Time to splash down 13
on a vu un
minutes,
plasma, une flamme de plasma sur le côté. Vous voyez, sur les extrémités des caméras, c'est qu'ils sont en train de rentrer dans l'atmosphère et le plasma qui se forme autour de la capsule.
And as predicted, we've entered
Et
our
on n'a plus d'images là, ils sont arrivés à une vitesse...
This will be a 6-minute blackout period. No voice, no data from the crew. We're 30
Allez,
seconds
là
away from the
c'est le moment le plus
anticipated point of
critique.
peak heating on the vehicle, where temperatures will rise to about 4,000 to 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. This is the true test of our
Et on
trajectory.
a des images de... Ils sont à 5000 degrés.
And from
On
the
les voit arriver.
G5 aircraft in the vicinity of the splashdown zone, this view of integrity.
Brille comme une boule de feu.
So that pinpoint of light shows the vehicle as it enters the period of peak heating in the Earth's atmosphere, the first tug of gravity being felt by Integrity's astronauts since their launch back on April 1st. Four and a half minutes until the end of the blackout period. Time to splash down, 11 minutes, 33 seconds.
Allez, on va bientôt voir si les capsules, si les parachutes s'ouvrent.
The landing and support officer reports that the P3 has acquisition on Integrity.
Là, ils sont tous impatients dans les bureaux en attente de reprendre contact avec les astronautes.
3.5 minutes left in this blackout period. This is
Et
a
ils nous mettent une
visualization
animation.
of the plasma buildup around the spacecraft and the repelling of that heat on Integrity's heat shield.
À 248 000 miles. Ah non, c'est à 25 000 miles, désolé. Il fait près de 50 000 ou pas loin de 50 000 km/h.
Flight Dynamics reports that airborne
Allez.
assets in the
Donc,
vicinity of the splashdown
dès
zone do have a
qu'il y
visual
aura
on
les
Integrity.
parachutes qui se déploieront, je pense qu'on
Still
reprendra
2
contact
minutes and
avec les
40
astronautes.
seconds left in our blackout period. Time to splashdown, 9 minutes, 35 seconds.
Dommage qu'on n'a pas une vision du sol.
Multiple airborne assets as part of the recovery team all have visuals on Integrity.
Allez.
And the
Est-ce
WB-57
que les
flying in the
parachutes vont
splashdown zone
s'ouvrir?
also has a visual. And the Navy helos also have visuals. We're still in the blackout period. Still do not have
Tant qu'on a de la
communications from the
télémétrie,
crew.
en vrai, c'est que ça se passe bien. Et ils viennent de perdre une bonne partie de leur vitesse, donc on va bientôt reprendre contact. Parachute, s'il vous plaît, les parachutes.
Communications from the crew. We should be out of the blackout period less than a minute from now. We are now processing data from integrity.
Est-ce qu'on va avoir une nouvelle vision?
Landing and support officer reports the small boats are en
L'hélicoptère n'aura réussi à choper une image. Ah, on en a peut-être une. Ah non, là il nous montre là où ils vont amérir. La cible de l'atterrissage. On peut voir sur leur écran qu'ils ont un visuel.
Feet, our trajectory is perfect. We're getting intermittent views of integrity. Still waiting to establish voice communication.
Integrity, Houston, comm check, post blackout.
Houston, Integrity, we have you loud and clear.
Your trajectory is nominal and your recovery teams have visual.
Tout a l'air clair. Tout a l'air bien.
Guidance looks good.
Il n'y a pas encore de signal de l'intérieur de la capsule, mais tout a l'air de bien se passer.
Viewing room here in Mission Control as voice communication reestablished with Commander Reed Wiseman. For America and a waiting world, integrity is 5.5 minutes away from coming home. Passing 100,000 feet now. Range to splash down 19
c'est une boule de feu de fou hein, qui... Allez, ça va être bientôt le moment de déployer les parachutes.
Integrity, impact to the camera controller fail is no cab 1 views of the chutes.
Et on les voit là, chuter.
Integrity.
Il y a encore un peu de plasma autour de la...
GPS system. A good view of integrity, time to splash down 4.5 minutes. And a view of integrity from the WB-57.
Ça va bientôt être le moment des parachutes, de déployer les parachutes là. Les parachutes?
The pyros are armed for forward cover jettison.
Peut-être encore trop vite pour les parachutes? Parachute!
And there go the first series of parachutes.
Les parachutes!
And we're on drogues.
And Houston, we're visual 2 drogues out the window.
2 good drogue shoots. Next up.
We copy, we see them.
Encore vite là, non? C'est parce qu'ils sont encore très hauts.
Time to splash down 3 minutes and 10 seconds.
pas de télémétrie, mais le déploiement de parachute s'est bien passé.
We see the same on board.
Passing through 10,000 feet, still on drogues.
De belles images, mais ça va vite. Hein, je dis qu'il doit transpirer le caméraman pour. What? Les gros parachutes?
Main chute deploy.
Il y a un des gros parachutes qui a pas l'air de se déployer ici. Si, ça bon. C'est bon.
Search and recovery
Ils vont arriver en douceur.
On integrity. And we have 3 good main
Ils vont arriver en douceur, amerrir tranquillement.
Good 3 main chutes, good reefing, good descent rate.
Good rates, and we see 3 good-looking parachutes.
Et c'est l'hélico qui est en train de filmer, je pense.
Integrity. Cabin pressure indicates no need for hydrazine checks.
Integrity copies.
This is a perfect descent for Integrity. Its crew sounding
parfait, tout est cool. La descente pour le moment se passe très très bien. Dans 1 minute et 15 secondes, ils seront à Mairie.
Integrity about to complete a journey spanning 694,481 miles from its launch from the Kennedy Space Center back on April 1st, and a trip around the moon.
Incroyable.
Passing through 1,000 feet.
Allez, il va avoir contact. L'image est belle là comme ça.
Integrity splashdown, sending post-landing command now.
Contact.
Splashdown confirmed.
Copy splashdown, waiting on VLDR.
Splashdown confirmed at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time. From the pages of Jules Verne to a modern-day mission to the moon, a new chapter of the exploration of our celestial neighbor is complete. Integrity's astronauts back on Earth.
Mission accomplie.
And the landing and support officer reports the vehicle is stable 1. We still will be deploying the crew module uprighting system to maintain that orientation.
500 000 km.
Splashdown for Integrity and its 4 astronauts.
Trop fort. Bah, ils ont bien améri à 2h10 au final.
The unofficial splashdown time 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m. Central Time. We'll get that refined for you. That would put the end of the mission at a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 31 minutes, 35 seconds. And we're configuring for very low data rate. Once again, splashdown occurring in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego at 7:07 and 47 seconds p.m.
Integrity
Retour
Houston,
sur le bateau.
on VLDR.
Ils sont en train d'aller les récupérer.
Houston, we have you loud and clear on VLDR, or how else?
We have you the same. We'll meet you over in post landing.
Perfect communications established.
A journey. We are stable 1, 4 green crew members.
Houston, copy.
Et on va vivre le repêchage ensemble aussi.
Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members. That is not their complexion. That is the fact that they're in great condition. That's what that means. So stable 1, upright. The crew module uprighting system is being deployed. The 5 airbags being inflated through helium to maintain the upright configuration for the vehicle. This was a textbook entry and a textbook touchdown for Integrity. Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook, and Jeremy Hansen back on Earth.
On n'a pas eu encore contact avec les astronautes à l'intérieur? Et la transmission a été émise.
We continue to monitor the functioning of the CMOOS system. The airbags are being inflated to maintain a stable 1 or upright configuration. And there's a good view from one of the naval helicopters hovering overhead. Reed Wiseman reporting 4 green crew members, meaning they're all in excellent shape.
Integrity Houston for SAR beacon and radio.
SAR beacon is in for 06 and
we're firing for you
now. Go ahead.
Les astronautes qu'on entend.
We see the beacon on. However, the recovery team is not seeing the signal. Your SAR radio uses the same antenna, so you may run into trouble with the radio.
Okay, copy. We are also powering up the sat phone now.
So Integrity is in great shape, and as the crew continues its post-splashdown timelined activities on board,
après avoir fait 500 000 km, attendent d'être repêchés.
In excellent shape. And we have 5 inflated airbags to maintain an upright configuration so that the recovery team can now begin a slow approach to the vehicle. Meanwhile, here in the flight control room, Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling is polling his team of flight controllers for the start of powering down the vehicle after a thorough systems check. We have no toxic gases to be concerned about, so the recovery personnel can approach the vehicle, but not until we have powered down the spacecraft. That's expected to take a few more minutes.
Allez, le repêchage se fera d'ici le prochain quart d'heure.
Integrity back on Earth, following its historic flyby of the moon. It was, for all intents and purposes, a textbook mission.
On 28 per hour remain on this frequency.
We copy.
Reed Wiseman indicating some trouble with the SARSAT phone on board. But that's not an issue. What is more important is that the vehicle is solid. No issues as we begin the power down of the vehicle to begin the recovery process.
Eh bien, parfait. Ça aurait été un bon live quand même. On va attendre le repêchage et on s'arrêtera sur ça, je pense.
Can you say again that was very weak and broken?
Integrity, Houston did not call.
Copy that, Houston. It might have been on the SAR radio. Stand by.
Est-ce on verrait pas cette image d'un bateau par hasard?
All of the milestones were executed in perfect fashion. Integrity entering the Earth's atmosphere right on time, reaching its peak speed shortly after a blackout period began. We emerged from the blackout period, but the recovery imagery airborne assets were able to pick up Integrity's descent almost immediately through entry interface, tracking the vehicle all the way down. And finally, you saw the sequence of chute deployments. First, the forward bay cover being pulled off the top of the vehicle by a series of 3 parachutes. Then the drogue chutes
on voit un bateau se diriger vers eux.
Deployed, followed by the 3 main chutes that slowed the splashdown velocity of Integrity to just 19 miles an hour.
Integrity, Houston, with no joy on SAR and SAT phone, we'd like you to command an additional 15 minutes for a total of 30-minute power down delay.
All right, Jackie, we have selected T/D+30. No joy on SAR radio or sat phone. And stand by, we have the master diver on SAR radio. Please hold comms.
Hey, Lily. Excuse me. Hey, Jackie, we just got the master diver on SAR.
Ok. Il y a bien un bateau qui se... vient de les repêcher.
Integrity, Houston, if you are happy with your comm with Master Diver, you can go back to the 15-minute power down.
Okay, stand by. Yeah, we'll confirm here in a second.
The crew on board Integrity, coordinating with the flight control team in in Houston here in Mission Control on the timing of the power down of the vehicle, which will be the precursor to the recovery teams approaching the spacecraft. There are no issues with integrity. We've had a bit of broken capability in establishing a SARSAT or satellite phone communications capability between the crew on board Integrity and the recovery team. That will get sorted out here shortly. There's plenty of cooling on board Integrity, so there's no rush to begin the power down.
To call you on the sat phone and not getting an answer there either.
Concur. We haven't had anything come through.
Je pense qu'il y a des petits contrôles qui sont en train de se faire avant de le repêcher.
And Houston, if you could relay to recovery that we hear them, but it does not appear as though they are hearing us.
Houston copies, and Reed, just to confirm, you are pushing the PTT on the radio.
So as we continue to sort out the communications between Integrity and the recovery teams, we are standing by for the initiation of the power down procedures that, as you see, the recovery teams are moving towards the side of the capsule. The next major event will be the erection of that large inflatable raft called the front porch.
La capsule doit être encore chaude s'il ne repêche pas de suite.
Crew as they're being extracted one by one from the vehicle.
Integrity, Houston, for sat phone, we are going to attempt to call you.
Good idea, standing by.
And Jackie, yes, we are pushing the push to talk, the two buttons on the left side of the radio below the up-down arrows. We are utilizing them. I'm rebooting the radio to see if we get good comms.
Okay, we copy all, and just to confirm, you are seeing that you are touchdown plus 3030 for power, correct?
That's affirmative.
En tout cas, il y a du monde autour d'eux, c'est rassurant. S'ils se précipitent pas comme ça, c'est que tout doit aller bien.
Call the crew on their satellite phone. This is all part of the coordination for the power down of the vehicle that will initiate the actual recovery operation. The first boats with the Navy divers on board are standing by, waiting to close in on Integrity to begin the process of erecting the large inflatable raft that's called the front porch that will be where the astronauts are extracted from so that they can have a few
Ils
minutes
sont en train
to
tous de
get
communiquer entre eux, de s'organiser. Je pense que
before they're hoisted aboard the
le
Navy
remorquage va bientôt
to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
va bientôt opérer.
And Houston, please don't reply. NRD, very weak, but readable. Master diver, we can hear, but they cannot hear us. And Houston on OE1, is there any chance to tie us into NRD?
Eh ben parfait.
Checking.
This is Mission Control Houston. While we stand by for the establishment of communications between Integrity and the recovery team that is basically standing by very close to the spacecraft, we're going to go to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha, where Megan Cruz is standing by with Administrator Jared Isaacman.
Hey, Rob, yeah, just such an honor to be able to be here on the ship, to be able to share and experience this moment with everyone together. And of course, as you just said, yes, here with NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. Administrator, how did you feel getting to witness this and seeing NASA at its best?
Oh, I mean, I'm honestly, I'm still at a loss for words. I mean, you know, like the childhood Jared right now can't believe what I just saw. I mean, almost been waiting my whole lifetime to see, this. And then NASA Administrator, I just couldn't be more proud of the entire workforce, the years, the effort, the late nights, all the hard work from across the country that contributed to this incredible moment right now. And yeah, incredibly grateful too for our teams here on the John P. Murtha right now.
Yeah, look at the behind us here.
We got everybody. Hey, what do you guys think? We just brought some astronauts back from the moon, huh? Unbelievable. Thank you. Yeah, so grateful to the Navy, the sailors that are here, the NASA teams. I mean, this is a joint effort that's on their way right now. These recovery forces are getting out to our Orion spacecraft, to Integrity, to get our astronauts back on the ship safely.
Yeah, and this is not just an accomplishment for NASA. This is an accomplishment for humanity.
Franchement, elle a bien résisté au plasma, la capsule.
To the moon and back. How does this make you feel, and what do you hope people take away from this?
Well, I'll tell you, you know, I think about the crew members that we've all had an opportunity to observe over the last 10 days, right? I mean, they're absolutely professional astronauts. I mean, wonderful communicators, almost poets, but then I think these were the ambassadors from humanity to the stars that we sent out there right now, and I can't imagine a better crew than the Artemis II crew that just completed a perfect mission right now. So yes, it's a huge moment for everybody, right? I mean, we are back in the business of sending astronauts to the moon, bringing them back safely, and to set up for a series more. I mean, this is not a once in a lifetime, which you hear sometimes around here. It's like, this was a once in a lifetime. No, it's not. This is just the beginning. We are going to get back into doing this with frequency, sending missions to the moon until we land on it in 2028.
Je pense que c'est pour bientôt le repêchage.
Yeah, are we going to build on the momentum for Artemis 3? I mean, it's just around the corner.
Absolutely. So, I mean, that's, you know, part of me too. I can't wait to get the crew off of Integrity right now, but also getting Integrity back on this ship so we can start taking a look at it, because all that data is so precious to us right now. I mean, we are going to definitely want to take a good look at the thermal protection system. We're going to want to download all the data they couldn't transmit back to us and use that to inform Artemis 3. But we're already making progress, right? You had SRB segments already showing up at KSC. Core stage for Artemis 3 is rolling out on April 20th. We're getting Mobile Launcher 1 back in vehicle assembly building. So yes, there is a lot to celebrate right now on a mission well accomplished for Artemis 2, and at the same time, we got to start getting ready for 3.
Amazing. And last question, you know, for people who joined us for all 10 days to see what we can accomplish together with our international partners, what do you think about the fact that we're going to keep doing this more and more and more?
It's incredibly exciting. I mean, yes, it's the contributions, like the best and brightest across the NASA workforce from across the country, our industry partners, our international partners. We had a Canadian Space Agency astronaut on board, Jeremy. We had the European service module. And you think in the days leading up to this launch, I mean, 48 hours prior to launching Artemis 2, I was meeting with the Italian Space Agency. We signed a memorandum of understanding to build a habitation module on the moon. I mean, you have countries, all of our allies allies and partners coming together saying,
si ça sera encore un vol habité,
we are returning to the moon, we're doing it to stay, we are building that enduring presence, we are going to master the skills on the surface of the moon so someday we can undertake missions to Mars. It's just an incredibly exciting time, and we're not going at it alone. We're bringing everybody along with us.
Absolutely. And speaking of everyone, one more time, we're going to ask the crew here, you guys ready to land on the moon? Awesome. I love that. Okay, well, thank you so much, Administrator. Appreciate you being here. We're, of course, going to stay on to watch the crew get extracted from Orion, so stay tuned, and we'll see you back here shortly.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you, Administrator Isaacman. We are in the process of working to establish that communications link and to establish the procedures that will lead to the power down of the spacecraft, which is gently bobbing in the Pacific following a bullseye touchdown that occurred at 7:07 p.m. Central Time, 5:07 p.m. Pacific Time, 2.5 hours before sunset in the Pacific, southwest of San Diego. We have once again heard from the crew during that interview opportunity with the administrator, and we have 4 healthy crew members on board. We now have confirmation that the vehicle has been powered down as per the procedures. So we have vehicle powered down, and the flight control team here in Houston, Flight Director Rick Henfling, has handed over mission authority to the Exploration Ground Systems team.
Apparemment, je crois qu'ils essaient de rétablir la connexion avec la capsule à l'intérieur.
Off console with this team until the crew has been extracted.
Je pense que le plasma a grillé les communications, en fait.
That will be erected along the side hatch of integrity, so we're standing by for that. In the next
Ils doivent sûrement avoir des télémétries
everything is in great shape, and we have 4
à l'intérieur des astronautes, mais ils ont peut-être pas un contact radio. Et c'est peut-être pour ça que ils prennent du temps pour le repêchage. C'est peut-être qu'ils essayent d'avoir des contacts avec les membres de l'équipage.
That was culminated with one final raise burn to improve the angle of attack for the vehicle as it entered the Earth's atmosphere. All of that flight dynamics computation worked like a charm.
On dirait pas avoir un confrère en français.
Oui, j'ai vu une question qui demandait combien est-ce qu'ils sont payés pour aller sur la Lune. Je vais décevoir beaucoup de monde. Sachez que les astronautes de la NASA, dans leur contrat, ne sont pas payés plus pour leur mission. Et donc, ils vont pas gagner plus que ce qu'ils gagnent habituellement. Sachant que le maximum de tête, je crois, c'est $150 000 par an. Ça fait à peu près un peu plus de 11 000 euros par mois. Je sais pas s'ils ont tous ce salaire-là. Ça, c'est le salaire maximum.
Ils ne donnent pas plus d'infos sur
ils toucheront
le
pas plus. Donc il n'y a pas de prime de risque pour cette mission.
Each crew member will be hoisted in sequential fashion, in alternating fashion. 2 crew members for each helicopter before they turn around to head back to the John P. Murtha. Once on the deck of the ship, they'll be brought into medical bay for comprehensive medical exams. But read.
On va l'avoir en français. On peut pas avoir les sous-titres en français, malheureusement.
So just to recap, it has been some 26.5 minutes since the splashdown of Integrity in the Pacific.
Ils sont déjà améris il y a une vingtaine de minutes.
It performed like a champ all the way down through the Earth's atmosphere.
Je pense qu'ils essaient de reprendre contact avec avec l'équipage à l'intérieur parce que le plasma a dû griller les communications pendant la rentrée atmosphérique. Et ils doivent avoir les télémétries des astronautes et le pouls, battement de cœur, tout ça. Je pense qu'ils ont ce genre de données. Et ils n'ont peut-être pas le contact radio avec eux.
For the powering down of the vehicle. We've handed over mission authority to the exploration ground systems folks out in the Pacific, and the recovery team will be approaching the vehicle shortly to erect the inflatable raft called the front porch before opening the hatch to integrity to bring the crew members onto that raft before they're hoisted onto two Navy helicopters, two crew members for each helicopter, before they're flown back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha.
C'est peut-être possible qu'ils attendent le bateau mère au final, que les plans ont changé, qu'ils les tractent pas. En tout cas, tout s'est bien passé. 500 000 km ont été engloutis avec une maîtrise exceptionnelle. On aura fait un sacré voyage et ça doit être de sacrées minutes bien longues là. Ne pas avoir le mal de mer à l'intérieur de la capsule. Après tu me diras, tu as voyagé dans l'espace. Si tu n'as pas eu le mal du pays, je pense pas que tu aies le mal de mer, quoi. Je pense que cette capsule finira dans un musée. Hein. La petite capsule d'Orion là va être célèbre pendant des années. Tout comme l'équipage qui ont fait l'aller-retour. Les 3 Américains et le Canadien. Le repêchage commence à être long. Je vais absolument vivre le repêchage aussi, mais ça commence à se faire long là. Bienvenue à ceux qui arrivent sur le live.
This is Mission Control Houston. After
On attend
talking to the flight
une
dynamics
situation de
folks, we
repêchage.
have a bit of a refinement on the splashdown time
Et la
for you.
mission est
Their
un
computation
franc
shows
succès
a splashdown time
de A à Z.
7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time.
Ça fait déjà un petit quart d'heure qu'ils sont à Mairie. Et il n'y a toujours pas l'opération de repêchage qui est amorcée. Je ne sais pas s'ils n'attendent pas le vaisseau mère. Et ils ne font pas le remorquage. En tout cas, il n'y a aucun problème avec les astronautes en eux-mêmes. Tout est nominatif de ce côté-là.
That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes.
Les communications radio sont coupées, mais je pense qu'ils ont quand même les télémétries qui donne signe des astronautes.
From the Pacific indicate that the recovery team in communications with the crew aboard Integrity, that the crew remains in excellent shape as they await the approach of the team for a final hazard gas evaluation before they move to the side of the vehicle to erect the
se posait plein de questions déjà à l'intérieur de la capsule. À mon avis, ils doivent quand même entendre le bruit environnant entre le bruit des hélicos et des bateaux. Ça doit les rassurer malgré tout. Et se demander mais qu'est-ce qui se passe quand est-ce qu'on pourra mettre les pieds sur un bateau, sur une terre, peu importe, mais sortir de la capsule quoi. Ok, on voit que le petit bateau se rapproche de plus en plus.
The front porch is erected, the hatch open, and the crew having exited the vehicle. So that's the next step in the recovery process that will lead to the hoisting of the crew members. For 2 crew members for each helicopter, they'll be hoisted.
Je pense que là, niveau température extérieure de la capsule doit être dans une température ambiante. Je pense plus qu'elle soit si brûlante que ça. Hein.
What you're looking at is one of the fast boats circling the vehicle to make a hazard assessment.
Ok, est-ce qu'on a les premiers plongeurs qui vont... Je pense que la température de la capsule elle doit être correcte là. Pour être aussi près de la capsule, je pense qu'elle est plus aussi brûlante. On va assister à l'opération de remorquage au final. Je crois qu'il faut un contrôle thermique. Je crois qu'ils font bien un contrôle thermique, mais je pense que ça doit être bon. Le Zodiac serait peut-être pas trop petit là pour tracter ça. Ouais, c'est fort possible que le Zodiac là soit trop petit. Si c'est, je pense qu'eux ils font vraiment le contrôle et ils doivent peut-être avoir une mission de de mettre les fixations peut-être. Je pense que les autres petits bateaux serviront peut-être de tractage.
All of the Navy divers and the fast boats are now approaching the spacecraft after conducting a hazard assessment. The vehicle has been powered down. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling now waiting for the life raft, the front porch, to be erected along the side of the vehicle so that the hatch can be opened and the crew members extracted from Integrity, soon to be hoisted one by one into a pair of Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. If you missed it earlier, we talked to Flight Dynamics and received a more official touchdown time or splashdown time, as it were, of 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time, 5:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Pacific Time. That would equate to a mission elapsed time of 9 days, 1 hour, 32 minutes.
Ça aurait été peut-être intelligent aussi de faire un remorquage par hélico au final. Un petit repêchage avec, je sais pas moi, des plongeurs qui soudent quelques crochets autour et un hélico qui les récupère pour les faire revenir sur un bateau petit porte-avions ou plus petit. Ça aurait été peut-être plus rapide. En tout cas, on aura vu des belles images sur ce live entre l'approche de la Terre, la rentrée atmosphérique et l'amerrissage. Ça aura été de belles images. Commence à faire long. Je vais vite fait boire quelque chose, j'arrive.
Continuing to get excellent views from the imagery assets out at sea in the Pacific of integrity. We continue to get good reports from the landing and support officer who's in contact with the recovery team that the crew is in excellent shape, no issues. They're just currently biding their time, waiting for the front porch to be erected. We have no hazardous hazard gases and no hazardous situation with the vehicle. It performed perfectly all the way down from entry interface to its splashdown in the Pacific at 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. And as you can see, the first phalanx of recovery personnel now pulling up alongside of integrity. This includes Navy divers, a Navy flight surgeon, and other recovery personnel who have trained for several years for this recovery process. At this hour, some 41 minutes following splashdown, the vehicle has been powered down. There's no hazardous gas emanating from the vehicle. That's why the first team of recovery personnel has been able to pull alongside Integrity. And the reports continue to come in that the 4 astronauts are in excellent shape.
Alors, qu'est-ce qu'il y a de nouveau? Où ils en sont? Toujours pas de remorquage?
Yes.
L'équipe est toujours à l'intérieur, je pense. Hein. Je me suis absenté quelques minutes, mais... De toute façon, ils avaient une capsule, des combinaisons oranges. Donc, s'ils seraient sur un bateau, on les verrait de loin. Je crois qu'ils sont en train de faire le remorquage là, peut-être? Ouais, je vois un câble se tendre. La procédure de remorquage est en train de se faire, je crois.
This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to watch the initiation of the recovery of Integrity's astronauts. One by one, they'll be brought out of the spacecraft onto a large inflatable raft just a short time from now. In the meantime, we can go back to the USS John P. Murtha, where my colleague Megan Cruz is standing by to provide her situation report. Megan, can you hear us?
Hey Rob, yes I can hear you. Thank you. Yeah, we're back here on the bow of the recovery ship where there are still plenty of people peering out into the water. We are not very far from the action everyone is seeing on their screen now. The Orion spacecraft Integrity in the ocean, surrounded by a number of recovery boats. As Rob has been saying, in those recovery boats, NASA and Navy personnel specifically trained to get the astronauts out of Orion. In some of our wide shots, you can probably see that there are 6 boats out in the water. More than 40 people out in the water right now on those boats.
Au final, la remorque pas, ils sont en train d'extraire les astronautes de la capsule comme ça.
First order of business is to set up the front porch and the stabilization collar. You might also hear it referred to as a stab collar. Basically just to make sure that Orion stays upright, doesn't sway in the water too much, again, to make it easier for recovery forces to get the astronauts out.
Je vois pas ce qu'ils sont en train de faire là.
Again, we splashed down in the Pacific Ocean just after 5 p.m. Pacific time here. It's a requirement by NASA to be able to get the crew out of Orion within 2 hours of splashdown. So doing great on time so far. Plenty of time. No rush either. I was speaking to NASA flight surgeon Rick Schuring earlier in this broadcast, and he said to me, no rush to get the crew out. Just want to make sure that they're feeling good, and whenever they're ready to take their step out of Orion and onto that large raft, the front porch, folks will be ready.
Je vois pas ce qu'ils sont en train de faire.
And as there are mission audio loops in mission control in Houston, there is a mission audio loop here on the ship, and it was just reported out that the side hatch is open. Side hatch of integrity is open. You're getting these beautiful shots from our aerial assets. The ship itself, where I'm on, just 3,000 yards away. Again, plenty of people on the boat here, glued to the side, closest to where they can see all this action. And again, with just 3,000 yards separating us, great views from the bow here.
Ils ont ouvert la capsule.
You can see now that side hatch is open. One of the Navy personnel is about to get inside there. In they go. In total, 4 will go into Orion. So it'll be a little bit of a tight squeeze, but the goal is to have a recovery personnel with each astronaut assessing them. Boat's getting closer now. Again, that one that's right up against Orion, those are the divers that will go in to the spacecraft to check on each of the astronauts. These other boats will begin doing a number of things, putting on that stabilization collar onto Orion, building that front porch. Eventually, they will retrieve the parachutes, as well as tow Orion back to the well deck of the recovery ship here.
Ça doit faire du bien d'avoir un peu d'air dans la capsule.
As we wait for the Navy and NASA personnel to get their assessment of the crew inside of Orion, why don't we toss it back to Rob for an update?
Yeah, thank you, Megan. Here in Mission Control, Flight Director Rick Henfling and the entry team of flight controllers still on duty. The vehicle has been powered down for some time now. There are no hazardous gases emanating from integrity. That, of course, allowed the recovery personnel to approach the vehicle and then open the hatch to begin the initial medical assessment of the crew, as you just indicated. Now we're standing by for the erection of that inflatable raft, the front porch, alongside of the vehicle. That will enable the crew to be extracted one by one onto the raft, have a moment or two to get their land legs back before they're hoisted into 2 hovering Navy helicopters, 2 crew members for each helicopter, for a short flight back to the deck of the USS John P. Murtha. All of Integrity's systems operated flawlessly throughout the course of the approach to the Earth, the entry into the Earth's atmosphere, and all of the key milestones that followed in this high-speed return to Earth for integrity. A mission that spanned more than 694,000 miles from the vehicle's launch from the Kennedy Space Center atop the Space Launch System back on April 1st.
Ben, ça aurait été parfait. Allez, sortez-moi ces astronautes là, que je puisse aller me coucher.
As we mentioned at the top of the broadcast, the last time that the Apollo program saw a splashdown in the Pacific was Apollo 17 back on December 19th, 1972. So for the first time in 53 and a half years, we have reenacted that with the arrival of Integrity's astronauts as they flew around the moon in that historic lunar flyby that began with a trans-lunar injection burn that took them out of Earth orbit following 24 hours of a high Earth orbit trajectory. The high Earth orbit trajectory enabled flight controllers here to have a full 24 hours to evaluate the systems on Integrity and the condition of the crew before they would commit to flying to the moon.
Je vois pas ce qu'ils sont en train de faire là. J'ai aucune idée de ce qu'ils sont en train de faire. Bon, je pense qu'on va s'arrêter ici, nous. Hein. Il reste encore les 20 prochaines minutes et si rien ne se passe dans les 20 prochaines minutes, on s'arrêtera sur ça. Ah, la capsule est bien ouverte en tout cas. Ouais, visage.
With the side hatch of Orion having been opened to set the stage for the erection of the inflatable life raft, known as the front porch, to be erected alongside the spacecraft for the extraction of the crew. Let's play for you an interview that my colleague Megan Cruz conducted on the USS John P. Murtha with Navy diver First Class David McMahon that explains how this process is unfolding.
Okay, Davey, so you and some of your team, one last look over of the stabilization collar, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what is this stabilization collar?
This is what's going to stabilize the capsule out there in the ocean. We don't know how good the weather or the waves will be that day, so this will help prevent any unnecessary occurrences from happening, stabilizing the capsule and the astronauts inside.
So basically this is a float that will go around Orion. I'm assuming that what they're doing right now, these are the lines that will attach the collar onto Orion?
That is correct.
And so what are they doing here?
So we've got the lower line that will secure the inflation device before we inflate it. That gives us the go-ahead that it's secure in space, and then we'll inflate it. And then once that is done, we'll undo all the carabiners and get this orange line on top tied in the same fashion. And then this will be secured to the capsule, and the astronauts can safely take their first steps out of the capsule onto the front porch.
Okay, and how long will it take them to set up the stabilization collar?
We should definitely be able to handle this in under 10 minutes.
Okay, wow. And then you just mentioned the front porch. So basically, after they set up the stabilization collar,
c'est ça qu'ils sont en train de déployer autour de la capsule?
That's correct.
Okay, and what's the front porch?
Front porch is basically a bigger waiting room for the astronauts to sit in while we wait for the helicopters to show up and grab them.
Okay, so the medical team that was inside with the crew, they're going to help them out and onto the front porch?
That is correct.
And then what happens here?
We have hired trained medical personnel also on board the front porch that will give them lookovers and just make sure they're okay while we wait for the helicopters to show up.
Okay. How does it feel, I mean, your team, you, to be part of a mission that's returning astronauts from the moon in more than 50 years?
We all feel extremely honored to be a part of this, as well as a bigger mission for the Navy.
Ouais, t'es plus rapide de foutre des crochets,
yes, very ready.
Les extraire en hélicoptère.
Cool. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Once again, the recovery operations are continuing out in the Pacific. We shortly should see that life raft, the front porch, erected alongside the side hatch of the vehicle.
Oui, cet astronaute a l'air
A number of
d'aller
flight
bien.
controllers have come into the flight control room to receive congratulations from entry flight director Rick Henfling. But we're going to stick with our operations out in the Pacific as we await the extraction of the 4 crew members who are reported to be in excellent condition.
Ça a l'air de bien se passer pour l'opération.
Again,
Et
while we stand by
ben,
for that
on va
front
suivre encore le
porch
dernier
to
quart
be
d'heure et
erected
on
alongside
s'arrêtera sur ça.
the side hatch of the vehicle. Let's go back to the USS John P. Murtha.
La phase
and Megan
de
Cruz. Megan?
refroidissement aura été bien longue avant qu'il puisse ouvrir la capsule.
Hey, Rob. Pausing now to listen to some internal audio loops. Again, the operations team here on the ship communicating with everyone out on the water. It seems like currents are hindering them a little bit from unfurling and inflating the stabilization collar as well as the front porch. But again, the requirement to get the crew out within 2 hours of splashdown, plenty of time. So no concerns just yet. But as calm as the water looks, yeah, it looks like it's hindering the teams just a tad. You can see in some of our shots that side hatch still open. Again, inside there are now 8 people inside. 4 divers, Navy divers, all with medical training, each assigned to an astronaut each. Making sure that they're comfortable, feeling good. As you've heard us say in the broadcast, you know, they expect a little bit of discomfort. Again, these astronauts just traveled back to Earth at 25,000 miles an hour, a nearly 695,000 mile journey around the moon. If you think you get car sick. Again, 6 boats out there, lots of gear with them, just in case, right? As we said, the crew reported feeling great. But again, all
je crois que c'est ça, ils sont en train de mettre...
Right, NASA is all about making sure we think about every situation that can happen. And so, of course, wanted to be ready in case any of our astronauts needed
les bouées de sécurité, je crois qu'ils sont en train de faire ça. Ça risque de prendre un peu trop de temps. Nous, on s'arrête dans 10 minutes, je pense.
You see now teams again trying to set up the stabilization collar and front porch for the crew to get out of Orion. They need both, right? The stabilization collar will keep Orion from swaying as you see it is doing now. And then they will connect the front porch to the stabilization collar so that the crew can take 2 steps and they will be in the front porch. Not a lot of chatter on the mission audio loops. That's a good thing. Again, things proceeding pretty nominally, even if they're fighting some currents out there on the Pacific Ocean.
Ouais, c'est ça, ils sont en train de déployer la bouée autour
Again, the goal, setting up the stabilization collar and the front porch
de la capsule.
So that the crew can rest comfortably in the front porch, get placed into harnesses so that 2 helicopters can lift them off the front porch and onto the USS John Murtha here. The helicopters
je pense qu'il y aurait eu des moyens plus faciles avec du fer à souder, des crochets. Pour le récupérer en hélicoptère, ça aurait été beaucoup plus simple.
Okay, and the recovery team here on the ship just got a report from the undersea medical officer who is inside the capsule with the crew. He is reporting all 4 members are green. All of our 4 astronauts, Reed, Victor, Christina, Jeremy, green, meaning they are feeling great, not the complexion of their skin. They are feeling great, happy to be home, and ready to be extracted as soon as possible. And so, as I was saying, we have 2 helicopters circling the activity you're seeing on the water right now. Each will take turns picking up an astronaut. So Helo 1 will come on in, hover above the front porch, about 40 feet above the front porch. A Navy recovery specialist will be hoisted down into the front porch.
The restricted maneuvering doctrine is in effect.
We'll connect to the first astronaut, which we're expecting to be Christina. And then Helo 2 comes around, picks up Jeremy, while Helo 1 stays above head. And then Helo 1 will come back in for another astronaut, and then Helo 2 for the last astronaut, and then back to the flight deck here on the recovery ship. I was talking to Assistant Artemis Recovery Director
Elle va connecter le dernier bout.
Serpinski.
Et après, ils vont gonfler la bouée, ou elle va peut-être se gonfler instantanément.
Much quicker, safer way to get on board. They did actually consider boats, but then if you think about it, longer time. The crew would have to move through more of the ship. This way, the helos will give a more direct, quicker route to the medical bay for our 4 astronauts. Beautiful shots from our aerial and imagery teams. Clouds have dissipated for a clear view from the bow of the recovery ship here.
Ça aurait été une totale réussite.
You can still see divers in the water there. Encircling Orion, that is that stabilization collar we've been telling you about. As you saw in that interview just a few minutes ago, they have to first connect it to Orion, and then once it's secured onto Orion, they can inflate it, and then they'll further secure it with other harnesses and lines. About an hour and 10 minutes since splashdown in the Pacific Ocean here.
Donc connecté, ça y est. Connecté, je crois.
Reed, Victor, Christina and Jeremy.
Ah non, il reste encore un petit morceau à connecter.
After a history-making mission to the moon and back. If you missed what we said just a couple of minutes ago, the undersea medical officer inside with the crew in Orion reporting all 4 crew members feeling great. Progress being made there on the stabilization collar. It looks like they are beginning to inflate it. And it looks like they're starting to unfold the front porch in order to get that into the water here shortly and inflate that as well. Again, more than 40 people out in the water right now. And those Navy and NASA personnel have been in the water for now about 4 hours.
Et c'est en train de se gonfler, je crois.
The reason why they had to get out so early is just to stage everything.
Ils ont réussi.
And actually here on the ship, when there are flight operations happening, you can't have anything else, right? Just because the flight deck can be a dangerous place, so they just want to focus on planes coming and going from the ship, so that's why they wanted to get the boats in the water.
Pour stabiliser la capsule.
To make sure that they have all the time they needed for the flight ops. And then the same crew here out in the water, they will stay out in the water for a number of hours after we recover the crew and get them back on the ship, because then they have to recover Orion. All right, that stabilization collar looking good around Orion. We're now seeing some recovery personnel getting on to that collar. Again, they need to further attach it to Orion to make sure that it can really prop up the spacecraft. It's basically lifting it up off of the water just a tad. Again, so it's not so...
Come off me for a minute.
So it doesn't sway so much in the water there.
Alors, est-ce qu'ils vont extraire les astronautes?
And now that front porch looks like it's nearly fully inflated as well. You can see a much larger surface area. And so once the crew get out of Orion, they can stretch their legs a little bit on this front porch, get some fresh air. And enjoy this beautiful day here.
Et je crois qu'ils vont extraire les astronautes.
On the home planet. It appears teams now are about to connect the front porch to the stabilization collar. And at that point, when both are secure, we should soon see astronauts come out of Orion. All these views
Allez, sortez-moi ces astronautes.
Also being fed to the landing force operations center here on the ship. Of course, it is very important for our recovery teams leading the mission to have all the views that you're seeing as well. Again, listening to their communication loop here on the ship. Very quiet, which is a good thing. It means things are going pretty nominally, meaning as expected.
Ça aura mis 1 heure pour les extraire. Ils sont posés à 2h07. Il est non, même plus. Ils auraient mis 1h30.
Again, all this activity happening just 3,000 yards away from the ship. So that means this will be a very quick flight back on the helicopters for the crew. 2-3 minutes, and then they'll be back here on the ship.
I know.
Okay, saw a thumbs up from one of the personnel on the front porch. It looks like they are now getting ready to deploy what they call the Air Rescue Vest, ARV. And so this is the harness that each crew member will get into in order to be hoisted into the helicopters. Again, those helicopters hovering just about 40 feet above the front porch when they're ready to pick up each crew member.
Les membres vont sortir.
This is Mission Control Houston. Behind me, a fairly raucous scene as hundreds of flight controllers have poured into the flight control room here. This is reminiscent of the scene after the final shuttle mission of STS-135, although that was the end of a program. This is only the beginning of a program with the textbook splashdown of Integrity and its 4 astronauts. We're standing by for the crew to be extracted from the spacecraft. Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling invited all of these flight controllers who have contributed to this mission to enter the flight control room to have an opportunity to receive well wishes and to share the mutual glow that exists in the wake of a textbook mission for Integrity. On the front screen here in Mission Control, a sign that says "Welcome Home Integrity, taking humanity back to the moon, going further, and returning safely to Earth." So all of that jubilation, part of the post-splashdown activities, even as we await the crew being extracted from the vehicle to be hoisted onto Navy helicopters for the trip back to the USS John P. Murtha.
Allez, qu'est-ce qu'ils attendent? On voit que ça s'agite autour de la capsule, mais il n'y a rien qui sort.
Once again here in Mission Control, this view of the Artemis Flight Control Room, known as the White Flight Control Room. This is the old Shuttle Flight Control Room, and now is the home of Artemis missions to the moon and beyond. Once again,
ils sont tous impatients aussi à Houston.
Invited in by Entry Flight Director Rick Henfling to share in the jubilation following the successful splashdown of Integrity. That splashdown occurring an hour and 22 minutes ago, as we stand by for the completion of the extraction of the crew, and ultimately they're hoisting onto Navy helicopters for a short flight back to the USS John P. Murtha. Splashdown occurred at 7:07 and 27 seconds p.m. Central Time. I had an opportunity to talk to the head of flight dynamics, Jeff Birch, a moment or two ago. He said the trajectory of Integrity coming through the Earth's atmosphere was so precise, they've never seen anything line up on a ground track like today's entry by Integrity for its splashdown southwest of San Diego.
Eh ben, je sais pas si on arrête là le live ou si on attend vraiment qu'ils font l'extraction des astronautes. Une première extraction d'astronautes. Ils l'ont fait.
Jubilation here in the flight control room. The first crew member is out of Integrity.
Mission accomplie. Du début jusqu'à la fin. Incroyable.
We are expecting the other crew members momentarily to be extracted. We now have 2 crew members out.
Le deuxième membre. Doivent leur faire tellement du bien de respirer de l'air frais.
2 crew members out, 2 to go. We're about 1 hour from sunset out in the Pacific. Everything continues to go well. Integrity's systems function perfectly during its entry back to Earth. And Reed Wiseman, the commander who will be last out of the vehicle, reported that all the crew members were feeling very well.
Et le troisième.
Crew member number 3 now out.
Ah, c'est trop cool.
And now standing by for the commander, Reed Wiseman, who will be last out of his ship. Bobbing in the Pacific under almost ideal conditions, Integrity spanned 694,000 miles during its journey from launch to splashdown.
Ah, ils auront bouffé 500 000 km quand même. C'est beau. Le dernier est juste là. Ben, je pense qu'on va se laisser sur ça. On a nos 4 astronautes qui sont sortis de la capsule. Et tout se sera bien passé ces 10 derniers jours. Je vais vous remercier à tous d'avoir suivi ce live avec moi en rediffusion. Et on aura sûrement d'autres lives astro dans quelques temps. Et aussi des lives aussi de conférences gaming. Et on se retrouvera lundi matin pour un tout nouveau live sur Crimson Desert. Et lundi soir à partir de 20h pour un live de Red Dead Redemption 2. Et puis dans la foulée, on fera un live sur Flamss Desert aussi. En attendant, je vous souhaite un bon week-end. Encore merci à tous. Bisous. Peace. Et ciao.